Welcome to the second in a series of webcasts with Oracle and the Manufacturer. My name is Tim Brown and I'm an editor with the Manufacturer magazine. The title of today's webcasts is Using Innovation to Drive a Single Version of the Truth. Today we'll be looking at the competitive food and beverage industry and also the fast-moving consumer goods market. What you'll see today is PLM in action and how that can drive efficiency and reduce risk. We are delighted to welcome Lucio Pieroni, formerly of Mars and now of Calypso, an Oracle PLM integration partner, who will be discussing how to tackle complex supply chains and how that can improve efficiency. We will also be talking to Clinton Chadwick of Oracle, who will be looking at how better project management and better product data management can be a distinct advantage in today's market. Product Lifecycle Management, or PLM, is designed to improve procedure and improve visibility. We hope you enjoyed today's webcast and find it both insightful and useful. Thank you very much, and now I'd like to pass over to Lucio Pieroni of Calypso.
Good morning. My name is Lucio Pieroni. I'm a senior manager at Calypso Consulting, a specialized consulting firm fully focused on innovation. What I'd like to talk to you today is about a set of integrated strategic capabilities and information technology systems that we call PLM, or Product Lifecycle Management, and how this PLM allows you to achieve better profitability and increase growth out of innovation. Let me start by saying that there is no question that innovation is important for food and beverage. In fact, it is critical. And this is widely recognized, and most food and beverage companies have innovation as one of the key pillars of their strategy. And it is so much so that we see a lot of effort being put into improving innovation capabilities. So, against this backdrop, you would expect that most companies are very pleased with their innovation results that they achieve. Actually, we find the opposite. If you follow the latest audits, only 50% of the companies are pleased with the innovation results they get, which also means that the other 50%, of course, doesn't. And the numbers actually reduce if you look at food and beverage in detail. So why is that? Innovation capabilities and leading practices are very well known, they are very well documented, and so this really shouldn't be like that. There should be a much better achievement of the desired level of innovativeness that companies want to achieve. At the same time, what we see is that what is less well documented is how these capabilities integrate into providing the whole system called innovation, and how this drives improved speed, improved results, improved value, and improved compliance out of innovation. So the evidence that we have at Calypso is that the ability to adopt the whole system of innovation and a systematic approach to innovation is what divides best-in-class innovators versus also runners. So what is this system? Well, I could make it very complicated, but I decided to pare it down to 5 key elements. They are leadership drive, strategic clarity, leading practice processes, organization to deliver, and IT system for knowledge management. Not only all of these elements need to achieve a level of maturity, but also they need to be integrated to drive the improved results from a growth and profitability standpoint. So let's look at the elements that compose the system that we call innovation one by one. And let's start from leadership drive. This is really where it all starts. Improving innovation results is a journey with wins along the way. In order to make this process sustainable, the leadership needs to provide continuous momentum that does 2 things. On one side, it removes obstacles, and on the other side, it delivers praises and rewards where they are necessary. The other thing that is important is that the leadership team is aligned, because that drives collaboration, which is very important. And finally, The leadership team needs to also own the continuous improvement of the process, needs to continually raise the standards of innovation, and also need to make sure that people are held accountable to deliver. The second element of the innovation system is strategic clarity. And there are two components of this. One is the innovation domain. What is an innovation domain? The innovation domain is characterized by two things. First are the areas where innovation is most needed. And secondly, they are characterized by on-trends benefit, forms, and functionalities. An example for food and beverage of an innovation domain would be well-being, which is the crossroad of three megatrends. On one side, the need for more natural food. On the other side, the need for hedonic pleasure out of the food we eat. And also, the third element would be the need for the improved nutritional soundness of the food we eat. So that's the innovation domain. The other element of the strategic clarity are innovation targets. And there are two types of innovation targets. One at portfolio level, where you have an idea of the number of innovation you need to do, the size of the innovation that you need to do, and the type of innovation that you need to do. Another one that we have are innovation targets at project management level. These targets should provide the fingerprint of a project that respect the original size and potential of the idea generated. So we have now looked at the first two components of the innovation system, leadership drive and strategic clarity. Let's look at the third one, which is leading practice processes. This is a suite of processes that are made of well-known processes like stage and gate, project management, and portfolio management, and less well-known processes like ideation and open innovation, technology road mapping, value management, and launch analysis. The fourth element of the innovation system is the right organization. The right organization is important because we need to work multifunctionally, we need to work collaboratively, and we need to work as an high-performing team. The other thing that is important is that diversity is engineered in the organization and is also deployed for the right projects. For example, we want to have people with a high level of dealing with ambiguity when a project is at the early stages or at the front end, as they say in innovation, and when the project is a more radical innovation. The fifth and last but not least element of this innovation system are IT systems that should provide current and accurate information to the team. I will go back to IT system in a minute. Before I do that, let me repeat that all of these components of these innovation systems need to be integrated and synchronized versus managed independently. Let me show you how this can work. Imagine that you want to do a certain number of innovation of a certain type. You start with assigning the right resources to the right projects, making sure that the skills set respects the type of projects that you have in front of you. The other thing that you do is you make sure that your ideation is focused on the domains that are imperative to drive the strategy. And that all of these ideas are managed by portfolio management to achieve the innovation targets that were set at the strategic level. And finally, that the project management is done in a way that it respects the size and the potential of the original idea. I would like to mention that at Calypso, we have developed a thorough assessment of each of these components that make up the innovation system individually and how they interact as a whole system. By comparing the status of innovation of a company versus the desired state, we have helped a lot of food and beverage companies to improve their innovation capabilities and to create a roadmap to do that, a manageable roadmap to do that. And we would like to also point out that this assessment is industry specific, and we have a very specific assessment that is special to the framework of food and beverage. If you need more information about this innovation assessment, please let me know, and I'll follow up with you. Let's go back to IT systems. You may wonder why I put them at the same level of, say, strategic clarity or leadership drive. Now, my point here is not to make a philosophical debate of which of the components of the innovation system is more important and less important. But I'm sure that you would agree with me when I say that people are the most important asset when it comes to drive innovation. And of course, we want these people to do what they do best, coming up with brilliant ideas and resolving really tough challenges in order to drive their projects, unleashing their creativity in doing that. At the same time, we also recognize the fact that people need to do some more operational work, like, for example, retrieving data, inputting new data, communicating to collaborate, and finally, making sure that they document what they learned for future reuse. Of course, this has to be done with a minimum effort, because, as I said, we want people to do what they do best. And this is where I came to the most staggering evidence that I found in my entire professional career. I was leading a large food and beverage R&D group, and we decided to have a look at how people were actually spending their time. To my surprise, or actually I should say to my horror, I found out three things. First of all, that 30% of people's time was spent in accessing data. I'm not talking analyzing them, I'm not talking drawing conclusions, I'm just talking accessing the data in the first place. Another 15% was actually spent in taking data from one system and putting them into another system. Again, no value added, simply taking data from one system and putting them into another system. The third realization was whenever there was a quality or a compliance challenge, it required several weeks of work of several people in order to pull the strings together. So in total, we're actually talking about 50% of people's time spending in just managing data. And I'm sure you would agree with me that this is not the way you would like your people to spend their time on. Also, I would like you to believe me that these were very smart people. They would have found a better way to solve this problem if there wasn't. But there actually wasn't. Our systems had very little search capabilities, so finding information required the navigation and the scanning of several documents. And I should add, if there was the possibility to find that information at all. Also, our system did not talk to each other. So if we had a new nutritional profile coming out of LIMS, this would had to be manually loaded into our specification system. And if you were in the factory, you had to, every morning, download specifications from the specification management system, put them down in Excel, take that Excel table and convert it into a table that then would feed into the manufacturing system. And this had to be done for every product and practically every day. When we had to check for compliance or quality, we had to triangulate many different systems. And so the effort of finding information was both tedious and prone to mistakes. And I could go on, but I think that by now I have convinced you that a good suite of IT systems will provide speed and compliance in your innovation process. For perspective, we are talking about tens of thousands of bill of materials and thousands of new recipes, new raw materials, and new compliance checks to be performed every year. Once a company reaches a level of complexity that requires better management of information, an integrated product information backbone is necessary to manage the end-to-end life cycle of innovation, from conception down to launch, and to extracting the most value from the launches. So I hope you enjoyed listening about product lifecycle management, or in short, PLM, and especially how this integrates on one side a set of strategic capabilities and on the other side a set of IT tools. I also hope that you started to see the benefit of PLM in terms of driving better value, more soundness of your innovation, more speed, and as well as accuracy and compliance. I would now like to leave the floor to my good friend, Clint Chadwick, that will explain to you how a PLM IT system works in practice. Thank you.
My name is Clinton Chadwick, and I'm a principal PLM consultant here at Oracle. And today I'm going to talk to you and show you how PLM can help you minimize risk, reduce cost, and accelerate innovation. First, I want to start off talking a little bit about how PLM helps organize the people and processes in your organization. And if we look at the slide right here, what we have is a series of stages and gates. You may already be familiar with a stage gate project management process. If so, you already know that a stage gate process works, well, in this case, kind of like a slalom skier. You have a stage where you do some work, then you have a gate where somebody has to approve, or many people have to approve that work. It's a go or no-go decision. The key benefit is that you can kill projects early. Now, I know killing projects sounds like a negative thing. You don't want to do that, but it's positive. Because when you kill a project that doesn't look like it's going to be successful, you can allocate those resources to other projects. You can focus your efforts on projects that will be successful. Now, if we look at the slide, we'll see that every stage has a series of activities. That's exactly how Agile PLM looks at project management. Stages with activities, followed by a gate. Now, those activities aren't just simple activities. They're a workflow, a process. Some work gets done. Maybe someone has to approve. Maybe someone else gets notified. Maybe the owner of the activity changes. These workflows can be as long and complicated, or as short and simple as you desire. Let's take a look at project management in Agile PLM for process. We're going to start off with a portfolio. A portfolio is a group of projects. Simple as that. By grouping projects together, you can look at all the data for these projects at the same time. Let me show you. I have a project here called Ready to Eat Projects. This is a portfolio of projects. As you can see, there are 6 projects in this portfolio. We have a few columns on this view. Now, there are many tabs across the top. These can have all sorts of information that you decide, fully configurable. But I want to concentrate on this tab. What we have here is activity status and project status with this red and green light. This gives you an at-a-glance project status. So you know, is this project on track? Is it running behind? Do I need to intervene? As a project manager, this can be invaluable. And also, I can see the activities. How many things are getting done right now? How many more things need to be done? But the real thing I want to focus on as well is this 3-year and 5-year NPV column. They come off to the right here. This is objective metric data. NPV is net present value. It's a measure of how profitable a project could be. This objective data allows you to make objective decisions about which projects should move forward and which projects should not. In fact, it's often easier to look at these as a graph instead of a grid of numbers. As you can see in this graph right here, we've got some projects that look like they're going to make a lot of money, and some projects that are forecasted to lose a lot of money. For example, the low-fat meat pie. It's quite a negative NPV. The margarita pizza, on the other hand, has quite a positive NPV. If we were going to make a decision about which of these projects to to kill and which of these projects to move forward with, I think it's pretty clear which ones we would want to choose. Let's take a look at the Margarita Pizza project, and we can dive a bit deeper into project management. At the top here, you can see the stages and gates. They're graphically represented. The green stages are stages that have already been completed. The orange stage is our current stage. So clearly we're in stage 3. This project has already gotten 2 stages complete, and now we're working on the 3rd stage, preparing for the 3rd gate. On the Summary tab, we have basic summary information about the project. The name, the description, demographics, retail channels, even things to help us organize them like priority and risk. When we look at the Metrics tab, this is where this data that we were looking at before on the portfolio comes from. You can see here we've got the NPV, along with lots of other data. Some of it is fiscal year specific, like revenue numbers. Whatever kind of numeric data that your organization collects to make these decisions would go right here. The real value, though, is making objective decisions, having real numbers to back up these decisions, not just deciding based on a feeling. If you look at the project team, we can see who's assigned to this project. This doesn't mean who's doing activities. Those are on the activities themselves, which we'll see. But this is the project team, and it can change over time. If I click on stage 1, you'll see the team was smaller. And as the project continued, it got larger. Now, for example, the stages, the activities, also change with the stages. So on stage 1, there were just 2 activities. There was an idea briefing and a project schedule was created. In stage 2, this is when information about the project, forecasts, consumer perception studies were done. Consumer perception, for example, they went out with a picture or a description of the product and asked potential consumers, what do you think? Do you like this? Does it look tasty? Does it look healthy? Would you buy it? These kind of questions. So it's not just financial, it's all sorts of information that you can correlate in one place. And if we go to the activity itself, for example, the concept screener, we'll see it wasn't just something somebody did, there was a process. It started out, somebody created it, and then there was a reviewer who reviewed it and had to approve it to move forward. This approved the data to appear on the project. We've also found that many customers are very used to using Microsoft Excel, especially for financial data. And while you can type the data directly into the application, I find it's far better just to let people attach the spreadsheets they're already using and have the system pull that data out automatically. Here, let me show you. On this concept screener, this is just an Excel spreadsheet with a graph in Excel. It looks like a pretty standard Excel document here. The data was already here. In fact, this comes from a customer, and we've got all sorts of graphs or charts, whatever is desired here. But this data is pulled out automatically into these fields, available on this activity, available on the project, and available on the portfolio. So it comes from these spreadsheets or typed in directly, but then it's available everywhere to help make these objective decisions. In stage 3, this is where the product data started to be created. This is where the formulations need to be created in this sample process. This is where the new ingredients need to be identified, described, and sourced. This is when the retail logistics information has to be created. All of this in this stage of the process. And it's not just something that happens somewhere else. because this is an integrated PLM system, everything happens in the same place. So it's not just an activity to do something, but we'll see the packaging materials are actually attached right here to the activity. This allows a project manager, for example, to see not only the status of the activity, but the status of the product data. As you can imagine, the product data has its own approval process. Someone has to approve this packaging to be purchased or manufactured, and that's critical to make sure the whole project launches on time. Let me give you another example. For formulations, these are recipes. We have one recipe for a pizza sauce. Now that's already approved because that sauce was used, for example, in previous pizzas. But the margarita pizza formulation itself, that's still in developmental status. Now, as a project manager, I know we can't launch a product whose recipe is not approved. And I can see not only the status of the activity, but also the status of that data right here. Another big value here is that the data is all linked up. There's no ambiguity. Which recipe was developed by this project? What ingredients are required and need to be done before this project can launch? It's all linked in right here. And I can click on, for example, this formulation specification and see the formula right away. So I can see, for example, the ingredients in this example, margarita pizza. So it's not just a matter of having activities need to be done, but it's direct links into the product data. So there's no searching, there's no ambiguity, there's no risk of getting things wrong. So now I want to change gears and talk about product data instead of talking about project management. And to do that, I want to give you a little bit of a roadmap. So let me show that to you. Now, hopefully you're familiar with pizza. And the roadmap we have here is starting at the top, we have a pizza product. So this is a boxed retail item that is sold at a retailer. What makes that up is a box, the packaging, and the finished pizza. But that pizza was created. It was the result of a process. And that process involved tomato sauce, cheese, and a crust. But that sauce, as I showed you, is also a recipe that this fictitious company uses. So therefore, they create the sauce from tomatoes, tomato paste, and salt. That's a roadmap. We're going to start from the top, looking at a finished product for the consumer shelves, for the consumer that sits on the retail shelf, all the way down to a formulation. From terminology perspective, for us, ingredients and outputs are just materials. Sometimes they do both. They're something that is created and something that's used as an ingredient somewhere else. We also, of course, have packaging materials, formulation specifications, like a recipe, except it's also got process steps as well. Nutrition profiles. This describes the nutrition of a product. And trade. Trade is what we call items that you sell to other companies. For example, a product that you sell to retailers. So let's take a look. I'm going to navigate here to look at our trade specifications. Now, if I had all this data in a PDF or on Excel spreadsheets, I'd have a folder of files to look at. It can be difficult to find exactly what you want. But if you have all your product data structured in one place, it's much more efficient to find exactly what you need. I can search on any of these attributes. I can find, give me all the products that have these allergens. Give me all the products that have these intolerances. Give me all the products where the country of origin is France, for example. And I can then combine these in many different ways. So I can find exactly what I'm looking for. In this case, I know the name is margarita, as we saw, so I'll just search for it. We see the result here. In the summary information section, we see, well, summary information. This is the short name, a longer name, a description, a status, and some categorization. The real interesting stuff comes in on the packaging tab. On this tab, this is the logistics information that retailers need to know. Like, how big is the box, so they know how much room on the shelf to leave? How much does it weigh for transportation purposes? All this is also on this consumer unit trade specification. Also, linking directly to the packaging material. So now you have a direct link from the material that you buy from a supplier to the product that you sell that uses this packaging. Completely traceable. And also any other data that you have on here, like pictures or documents, can be attached directly to the specification. For example, here I have 2 images attached. But I want to go look at the formula. So let's do that. So, of course, everything's connected. I have exactly the formula that goes with this product. So I click on that. And now I'm looking at the formulation. Again, summary information, but the real meat happens in the formulation tab. We can see here the bill of materials and the quantity. You'll notice, of course, the quantities can sometimes in mass, sometimes in volume, will convert to either or, very normal. And we even have, in this case, a water loss, because the pizza's baked and some of the water and the crust and sauce evaporate. The output material here is a baked margarita pizza. And let's look at that material. On the nutrition tab, for example, we can see the computed theoretical nutrition for this product. We know exactly how many calories theoretically it should have based on the nutrition of all the raw materials. Maybe even more importantly, on the compliance tab, we have the computed compliance. So these are allergens, additives, and intolerances. And then down here we have additional compliance attributes. For example, if I want to know, is this product vegan? I can see, well, it's not vegan. It says not compliant. Why is it not compliant? Okay. The cheese is not vegan, of course. Now this is a simple example, but you can imagine that in more complicated recipes, it's very difficult to keep track of this, and you don't have the traceability from the raw materials to the finished product. And I'm sure you know how dangerous it can be to have a finished product that doesn't claim to have, for example, peanuts, yet there are a peanut contamination in one of the ingredients. Having a system like this makes it traceable end to end, so there can't be these kind of mistakes. Furthermore, compliance is a little more complicated than just yes or no answers. Regulatory is much more difficult than that. So what we do is we have a compliance screen that you can run against potential products. Keep in mind, this is a recipe that has perhaps never been created in the real world. It's just theoretical. But I can run a compliance screen on that. For example, let's say I have an EU list of banned additives that I want to run. I can screen for those and see that green all the way. None of those banned additives are in this product. Not only does this document what the screen should be, so I know what are banned and what is not in the system, but it allows me to automatically check products for it, so I know for certain that there can't be these additives because none of the raw materials have any of these additives. So you've seen how we went from a product that sits on the shelf to a formulation, a recipe for that, and how there's traceability from the raw materials to the finished product. And this gives you the real value and it eliminates the risk that can come from disconnects. Let me summarize. We just saw how Agile PLM for Process helps minimize risk by providing complete traceability from raw materials to finished products for both nutrition and compliance. And also how it can help accelerate innovation by organizing the people and processes of innovation. Now, this was just a short tour. There is so much more to enterprise PLM. It's even more than the sum of its parts. Therefore, I hope you find the opportunity to learn more. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for joining us for today's webcast. We hope you found it useful. If you do have any inquiries, a representative from Oracle will be more than happy to answer any questions. Their details are now on your screen. From everyone at Oracle and the manufacturer, we would like to thank you for your time today and wish you all the best. Thank you. Goodbye.